Before we dive into our day by day, here's your highlight reel for the week ahead. Monday opens with some real tension as the moon squares Saturn retrograde, but it softens into real relational depths as Venus trines Pluto retrograde. Tuesday's a bigger one. Mars is marching into instinctual Cancer, and the moon in Leo touches nearly every planet in the sky, priming us for what's coming. Wednesday's our main event. It's the new moon solar eclipse in Leo, the true portal of this full week. Thursday and Friday are going to give us space to ground and integrate as that moon moves into practical Virgo and as Pallas turns retrograde. And we close out our weekend with the moon moving into Libra. So it's turning all of this eclipse fire toward our relationships before Sunday delivers us a grounded, honest Saturn gut check to send us into the week ahead. So let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back, Cosmic Crew. I'm Stephanie from Immersive Spirit, coming to you this week from Sturgis, camped out under open sky, the bikes parked outside. You can hear the live music drifting in from somewhere down the road. And honestly, there's nowhere better that I could be for this week ahead, this particular week, because August 10th through the 16th is eclipse week. And everything we do these next 7 days is either preparing us for that moment or and opening that up for us, or it's helping us to integrate what's coming through next. So let's start with Monday, August 10th, because it sets an emotional tone that carries through the whole week. In the early morning hours at 1:30 a.m., the moon in Cancer squares Saturn retrograde in Aries. And if you woke up feeling like your inner world was suddenly heavier than usual, that's why. This is the moon bumping up against that old familiar wall, a boundary of you that was built for protection that might now be asking to be examined rather than simply defended. I feel it too, sitting at camp watching the sun come up over a sea of motorcycles. But the day doesn't stay in that tension. By midday, Venus in Libra is going to trine Pluto retrograde in Aquarius at 12:08 p.m., keeping in mind all times are Mountain Daylight Time. Something in how we relate to a partner, a friend, to even ourselves gets a chance to deepen and transform in a way that actually feels supportive rather than destabilizing. That same Venus is also in opposition to Neptune retrograde in Aries, which means the week opens with a real question on the table. Where have we been idealizing a connection instead of seeing it clearly? And in the evening, Mars in Gemini trines the North Node retrograde in Aquarius at 7:41, which is giving us a burst of a mental clarity about which direction we're actually meant to be moving in. That's just Monday. So Tuesday, August 11th, is where the week really starts to build momentum for us. Mars leaves that airy Gemini and enters the protective, instinctual Cancer at 2:30 a.m. And this shift really matters enormously as we're heading into this eclipse. Our drive to act stops living in our head and starts living in our gut and in our heart more so. Minutes later, the moon's going to enter Leo at 2:38 a.m. And from there on, the day's just going to keep unfolding for us. A square to Chiron retrograde in Taurus at 4 o'clock. That touches an old wound around self-worth. Then there's a conjunction to Mercury in Leo at 7:41 a.m. that has us speaking from the heart rather than the head. And then an opposition to Pluto retrograde in Aquarius at 9:03 a.m. that's going to ask us to look honestly at power dynamics. A trine to Neptune retrograde in Aries at 9:20 a.m. that softens things with compassion. Sextiling to both Venus in Libra, apologize, and Uranus in Gemini through the late morning that's going to open up some unexpected sparks of connection. And finally, that joyful conjunction to Jupiter in Leo at 6:01 p.m. that says, let yourself feel good about this. Out here, that Leo boldness is every single place you look. The loud pipes, bright chrome, nowhere to hide, people not wearing any clothes around camp. Nothing small about any of it. Mercury also opposes Pluto retrograde in Aquarius later Tuesday evening, which is at 7:19 p.m. So that can bring some intense conversations or realizations to the surface. Don't shy away from them. And as the night winds down, Mercury is going to try Neptune retrograde in Aries, and that's at 9:38 p.m., while Venus in Libra trines Uranus in Gemini, giving us both dreamy inspiration and a flash of exciting change all at once.
Hi, I'm Stephanie from Immersive Spirit. I hope you're enjoying this week's Astrological Insights podcast. If you find that these dates resonate for you, or you just love astrology, I would love to book a reading with you and just explore your own chart. Whether it's a particular location you're interested in, whether it's looking at transits that are coming for you in the future and how there's certain dates that might align better than others, or maybe it's just knowing more about that beautiful space that you were born into and exactly how the stars aligned just for you at your time of birth. I would be honored to speak with you. Head to immersivespirit.com and look for our services. You'll find several options there waiting for you, and I'll be excited to talk with you and dig into your astrological chart. Now, back to our podcast.
Let me take a breath because that was a lot. All right. Then we're going to arrive at our Wednesday. This is August 12th, and this is really where the heart of our week is. At 11:36 a.m., we have a new moon and solar eclipse in Leo, right? That's what makes the solar eclipse. This is it. This is the portal. So solar eclipses really accelerate new beginnings in a way that regular new moons simply just don't. They can't compress months of growth into just days the way an eclipse can. And because it's happening in Leo, this eclipse is really asking us where we've been playing small, where we've been afraid to be seen, and where it's time to let our light lead instead of hide. And I can't think of a more fitting place to catch this one than Sturgis, because this place just does not play small in any way, shape, or form. Okay, just before the eclipse, Moon in Leo is going to trine Saturn retrograde in Aries at 228, apologies, AM, giving us the discipline and that maturity to hold whatever this eclipse reveals with grace instead of panic. Mars in Cancer sextiles Chiron retrograde in Taurus at 8:41 a.m. It's going to offer a gentle, supportive energy for healing those old wounds through some instinctual and caring action on our part. In the afternoon, Mercury in Leo sextiles Uranus and Gemini at 2:47 p.m., which can bring a sudden, exciting insight about your path forward. Thursday, August 13th, is when we start to really come back down to earth, and it's in the best possible way. The moon in Leo is opposing the north node in Aquarius at 3:46 a.m., 3:56 a.m., and final push to release whatever old identity pattern is standing between you and your future direction. Then the moon's going to enter Virgo at 4:18, and everything shifts from eclipse fire into that grounded, practical integration. There's a trine to Chiron retrograde in Taurus that continues this healing thread for us. It's a supportive sextile to Mars in Cancer at 6:43 in the morning that's going to help us take some small, tender, and actionable steps forward. And then we have a sextile between Mercury in Leo and Venus in Libra at 10:22 a.m. And that's going to make conversations about love and values flow with really unusual ease. The one wrinkle here is we have a square between the moon in Virgo and Uranus and Gemini at 1:23 p.m., which might bring up some small disruption in your routine, but don't fight it, just adapt. Even out here, the rally has its own rhythm of push and then rest, and today is asking for just a little bit of that. We're in Friday, August 14th, and it's quieter, it deserves to be. Pallas stations retrograde in Aries at 3:41 a.m. It's inviting us to turn our strategic thinking inward for a little while rather than outward. And in the afternoon, Ceres and Cancer sextiles Chiron retrograde in Taurus at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's offering nourishment and gentle care to whatever wound is still tender from earlier in our week. So, really, a good day to let the music carry you instead of chasing anything at all. Saturday, we're getting close to the end. It picks the energy back up. That Sun in Leo trines Pallas retrograde in Aries at 4:52 a.m., giving us wise, strategic courage. Mercury in Leo conjuncts Jupiter in Leo at 5:22 a.m. It's big, expansive, and heart-forward thinking. The moon enters Libra at 8:19 a.m. as a crescent moon, and this is where the eclipse's fire starts translating into relationship and balance. There's a square to Mars in Cancer at 1:36 p.m. that might bring a little friction between what you want and what someone else needs. But it's followed by a trine to Pluto retrograde in Aquarius at 3:12 p.m. that lets you transform that friction into something real. An opposition to Neptune retrograde in Aries at 3:32 p.m. asks for clear-eyed honesty rather than fantasy. And then a trine to Uranus in Gemini at 6:04 p.m. closes the day with an unexpected welcome spark. It's a good day to look around at people riding because all around you and beside you and actually see them. Don't just glance. And then we're going to close our week on Sunday. We have our moon in Libra conjunct Venus in Libra at 1:10 a.m. It's beautiful, it's harmonious, it's just a soft note to hold. Sextiles to Jupiter in Leo and Mercury in Leo through the early morning keep that ease flowing for us. But the week's final major aspect is its most important one. The moon in Libra opposes Saturn retrograde in Aries at 10:27 a.m. And this is really our gut check, right? After a week of eclipse energy, retrograde healing, relational deepening, Saturn's going to show up for us and say, is this real? Is this sustainable? What's actually going to last? I'll be packing up camp with that exact question in mind on this coming weekend. So let it ground you to wherever you're headed next. So I want to zoom out for a minute because I don't want you to walk away from this week thinking it was just 7 busy days of transits, even though it is really 7 busy days of transits. It's really just one continuous arc. Mark. It's one continuous mark. Mars is moving into Cancer the day before the eclipse, right? Which isn't a coincidence at all for us. It's a rehearsal. The sky is showing us the boldest, truest action doesn't come from strategizing to death, which is what I have a tendency to do. It comes from trusting the gut level, knowing what arrives before your mind has a time to talk you out of it. That's what the eclipse asks us to act on. And then just to make sure the lesson is actually going to stick, the week closes with Saturn, that planet of consequence and structure, asking us to double check our work, not to shrink what we started, but to make sure that we've built it on something real, something solid. So if there's one thing to carry forward from this whole week, I would say it's this: instinct ignites it, the eclipse will illuminate it, and Saturn makes sure it lasts. I'd love to know as we move through this week and especially through the eclipse, what is the eclipse cracked open for you? Please drop it in the comments. I love reading comments. I get so few right now, and I would love to start seeing a lot more comments. So please comment. I'll read every single one and respond. This week is asking a lot of us, folks. It really is. So to feel deeply, to act from instinct instead of overthinking, to let that eclipse crack things wide open, and to let our relationships evolve in the process. If you want to go deeper into any of these transits, any of these day by day kind of things specifically for you, there's several ways to do that. One, schedule a reading with me. I would love to dig into your chart with you and just talk about what does this look like for today, tomorrow, 6 months from now. And join our Town Square community. It's free for the first 30 days, which is amazing. There's so many free live workshops that you'll be able to attend with this, content that you can download, as well as taking advantage of daily astrological journal prompts that go exactly with the energy of each day. It's amazing. And until then, I'll see you in the comments. I will see you, I hope, in the community. I will be back next week. Probably a little dust in the hair, a little dust on the clothes, a smile of the giant new memories still lingering on my face. But until that time, I want you to please stay grounded and keep looking up.